and he is actually born in Northampton County. He is Ron Woodard, and he is the Executive Director of NC LIsten, and he has been an immigration reform 501c3 nonprofit organization. Ron, we appreciate you driving up here all the way from Cary. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Well, thanks to the Action Club of Buncombe County for having this discussion today. The earlier video you saw, I met Roy Beck 16 years ago, so I'm not exactly what you call a newcomer to this issue. However, it was after 9/11 that I decided I'd just about had enough. Most of the people that I was associating with as relates to this issue were members of Numbers USA and the Federation for American Immigration Reform, and a number of us were just meeting informally, and we were getting somewhat involved. I'd lived in the Washington, D.C. area in Northern Virginia for a number of years, and really was watching what immigration was doing to the District of Columbia and how it was disfranchising people there. But again, it was after 9/11 that I decided, that actually we as a group decided we would do something. And they picked me to sort of head the group because they said I was the most persistent human being they'd ever met, and I had skin thicker than tree bark. And those two things are true. The more you would get to know me, I may very well be the most persistent human being you'll ever meet in your life. Ask my son, he'll tell you. NC LIsten is a grassroots immigration reform organization based here in North Carolina. Our website is www.nclisten.com. Currently we have too much immigration, legal and illegal, and it's not diverse enough. Hispanics and Latinos make up 60% of it. Of the 1 million legal immigrants we allow into America each year, 3 out of 4 are low-skilled and poorly educated. So what's happening is that through legal and illegal immigration, we're importing poverty on a massive scale. We need sensible, keyword, sensible legal immigration policies that are in America's interest. America's interest, not special interest. North Carolina is one of the states with the fastest growth rate of illegal immigrants in the entire country. We have the 8th largest number of illegals in the United States. Not something I think our state should be particularly proud of. I am fond of saying we don't have undocumented immigrants in North Carolina because our illegals have more documents than you do. They've got multiple driver's licenses, social security numbers. They're anything but undocumented. Terrorism is a major threat to America, and yet our ports and borders are not secure. Illegal immigration is significantly impacting drug trafficking in North Carolina. Go to the DEA's website. They have a blurb by state and read the first sentence about North Carolina. It talks about Mexican nationals bringing drugs into our state. We're told that the illegals that come to North Carolina won't blow us up with a bomb. Well, they're bringing drugs into our state. I don't know about you, but what's worse, someone trying to blow you up with a bomb or sell drugs to your children? And I don't think we should have to put up with either of those situations. There are 3 task force offices of ICE in North Carolina just to catch convicted felons who are illegal immigrants. There's now a 4th task force in North Carolina to go after child molesters who are illegal immigrants in North Carolina. On education, our analysis would show we spend about $440 million per year in North Carolina to educate the dependents of illegals engaged in grades K through 12. They're getting special attention, and our children are receiving an inadequate education. The North Carolina Hospital Association estimates 1/3 of the entire uninsured population in North Carolina are illegals. If your illegals get an amnesty, obviously citizenship, these costs are going to skyrocket because they will now have even access to more government services. Are there jobs Americans won't do? I sent a letter to President Bush asking him to give me a list of jobs Americans won't do. I haven't heard from him. A According to a UNC study that Fern talked about earlier, what a study. I mean, think about putting lipstick and a dress on a pig, and you get an idea of what this study is about as far as the distortion goes. But they did make one true statement. They said that only about 15% of illegals in North Carolina are doing agricultural work. Farmers already can get access to the H-2A visa program to get literally all the migrant workers they want. But they don't use it. About half the farmers don't use those programs because they have to pay $8 an hour. The next question would be, we are in the 21st century. Why are we doing manual labor like that anyway? I mean, there's mechanization. We don't pick cotton by hand anymore. Although no doubt the North Carolina Farm Bureau is still upset over that, I'm sure. We have mechanized cotton pickers that pick cotton. Tomatoes are picked by machines in California, and the list goes on. They don't want to buy a machine for the same reason they didn't want to buy a machine when mostly African Americans picked cotton in the 50s and before that, because it's cheaper to basically screw over somebody and not give them health care than it is to buy a machine. That's what's going on in agriculture. They just don't want to buy mechanization because it's cheaper to get cheap labor and send you the social services cost. Interestingly enough, the Hispanic unemployment rate in America is higher than the national average unemployment rate. So who is it that won't do jobs in America? In most job categories that illegal immigrants make up 20% of the workforce, American unemployment rates are 10% or higher in those categories, according to studies that have been done by the Center for Immigration Studies. Our own North Carolina Employment Security Commission statistics show, I looked them up, that construction workers, the trades, they're making less today if you adjust for inflation than they were in 2001. Now, if there's such a shortage of construction workers in our free market, in our private enterprise free market system, wouldn't wages be going up? They're actually going down. Certain sectors of our economy who hire illegals get subsidized labor. They get the cheap labor and rack up extra profits while the taxpayers pick up the health care and other social services costs of the illegals. So cheap labor is really expensive. What do citizens think about illegal immigration? The Civitas Institute has been conducting statewide polls, and controlling immigration is now the #3 most important issue to North Carolinians as a state issue. It's the only issue that affects the other top issues: education, healthcare, jobs, and taxes. Other Civitas polling results are 80% of North Carolina voters want employers who knowingly hire illegals to be fined. 78% want our state to stop giving driver's licenses to illegals. And in an earlier News and Observer statewide poll, 73% of North Carolinians thought even legal immigration was too high, because most people understand what Roy Beck was saying. Maybe not to the extent of having seen his video, but I think they're getting it more and more. Again, it's not that we can't have immigration, it just needs to be sensible and in America's best interest. At the state level, what can we do about illegal immigration? We could pass legislation requiring a valid passport for non-citizens to acquire a driver's license, because that's reasonably difficult, probably the most difficult document to counterfeit. The illegals were given driver's licenses, and we know that. And because they didn't have a social security number, anytime an illegal or one that did not have a social security number was given a driver's license, if they didn't have a social security number, the DMV went into the database and put all 9s in there for the social security number. So it'd be relatively easy to go through the DMV database, and everywhere there's a 999, call those people back in for a little chat and have them reapply. But of course that's not being done, because some of our legislators, certainly not all, some of our legislators, are kissy-kissy to the illegals because they're looking for future votes, as was already said. Deny government benefits to illegals as far as federal legislation will permit. Require contractors doing state government work to verify their employees are legal residents by using the SAVE system. There's already a database for any employer in America to use, and they can go to my website and find it if they want to. Any company receiving state government incentives to come